Hi, welcome to the second lesson in our Module 2. So this topic we will cover how to analyze data in Excel. We will have an introduction to our formulas and pivot table. This session will cover search functions, logic functions, text functions, and pivot tables. There will also be practice exercises in between. Let us start with logical functions. But first, we have to understand how logic is stated in Excel. So in Excel, it is stated as true or false. For example, we say 15 is less than 20. We know that that is true. So we have a formula on how to write that in Excel. As well as when we say 15 is less than 10, which we know is false. So there is also another way on how to write that in Excel, and the value would be true or false. Let's try this in Excel. All right, now that we know how to derive true or false value in Excel, we will start with our first logical function, which is the if function. This is a conditional function. So it's like saying that, for example, if we say, if it rains today, there will be heavy traffic later. Otherwise, there won't be any traffic. So that's how we think on how to, format our logical function. Okay, let's try this in Excel. For this exercise, we will use our students' dataset. Let's say you are a teacher and you are trying to update your student records. So our dataset includes first name of the student, last name, the gender, male or female, scores for each subject. So that's math, science, history, English. And then we also have the average score and some yes or no fields here for club membership. So is the student a member of clubs? Yes or no? This one is specific for math club and this one is specific for English club. Okay, so for our if function, if the student is a club member, then we will give them special award. So we will write if the student is a club member, then with special award. Otherwise, we will write nothing or keep it blank. So the way we write this is if the student is a club member, which is this field. So this indicates yes or no club membership, right? So if this is yes, that means the student is a member of a club. So if this is equal to yes, yes, okay. And because it's a text, we will include that in a double quotation. So if this is yes, then we'll write our first condition. If the value, if this logic is true, we will write with special award. Otherwise, we will write blank. We'll write nothing in short. So this is how we write blank in Excel. That's double quotation, two double quotation, and then close it with another closing parenthesis, and that's it. So this means that if this is yes, we will write special award. If this is true, we will write special award. So we will just copy everything using Control C and then paste it here using Control V. So if it's see here, this is blank because this is no. So it means our condition is not satisfied, right? So that's false. So we will write blank instead of special award. That's how we do if function in Excel. Okay, now we will proceed with our next function, which is the end function. This is not necessarily a conditional function. The output of end would be true or false. So it's like saying, it will rain later and I will work late. For the end statement to hold true, both of your scenarios should be true, or it should both happen. So it will rain later and I will work late. Let's try this in Excel. For our end function, we are expecting true or false value, right? So the way we write this is like and then we write the first expression, comma, and then the second expression. In our example, we have math and science greater than 85. So for this to be true, math should be greater than 85 and science should also be greater than 85. So we will write it as math should be greater than 85. That's the first expression, comma, science should also be greater than 85. So for our first student, this is false. Why? Because math is greater than 85, but science is not. Remember, for and function to be true, both of your expressions should also be true. Okay, so we'll copy this and then paste it here. So let's see this. This is true because both math and science are greater than 85. Okay, now we have another function called the OR function. This is like AND. The output is true or false as well. But the only difference is in our OR function, it's either at least one of your scenarios will hold true for your OR function to be true. For example, it will rain later or I will work late. If either one of those scenarios would happen, then my OR statement will be true. Let's try this in Excel. For OR, our statement would be history or English greater than 90. So we will write this as history greater than 90, comma, English greater than 90. So this is true. History is not greater than 90, it's 87, but English is 96, which is greater than 90. This satisfies our condition. And if one of them is true, then our OR statement will be true. So this is false because both of them is less than 90, so no subject satisfied our condition, so that's false. Again, if at least one of your condition is true, your OR statement will be true. Okay, now that we know how to write if, and, or functions, we can actually combine all of this and create another logical function, which is the if and or if or combined. For example, if I say, if it will rain later and I will work late, then I will be stuck in traffic. Otherwise, I will not be stuck in traffic. Okay, let's try this in Excel. To write an if and statement in Excel, you have to first establish your end condition. So let's try. If math and science are both greater than 85, then we will write best in STEM. Otherwise, we will write blank. Okay? So first we have to establish our conditions, our end condition. So if math is greater than 85, math is greater than 85, and science greater than 85. So if this is true, then we will write best in STEM. So this is our first condition, right? Now, this is where we will put our if function. So if this is true, that's the logic. We will write best in STEM. Otherwise, we will write nothing. So we'll try to copy everything. Okay, so there will only be a text that is best in STEM if our end statement is true. And for our end statement to be true, both math and science should be greater than 85. In this case, math and science are both 85. That's why we have written best in STEM. While for this one, science is not greater than 85. So our end statement is false. Then we will proceed with our value if false, which is blank. We can also write multiple if statements in Excel. We call this nested if. Okay, so let's try this in Excel. To write nested if statements in Excel, we have to replace our false value with another if statement. So this is how we do it. Our condition here is if the average score is greater than 98, then we will write highest honors. Else, if the average score is greater than 95, then high honors. Otherwise, if the average score is greater than 90, then we'll just write honors. Otherwise, if that's still not true, then we will write blank. Okay, so let's write it. If the average score is greater than 90, then we will write highest honors. Otherwise, instead of writing false, if this is not satisfied, instead of writing false, we'll write another if statement, which is if this is greater than 95, we will write high honors. Otherwise, if this is greater than 90, then we will write honors. Otherwise, that's the time that we write nothing if that is still not true. And then when you write nested if statements, the number of closing parentheses should be equal to the number of open parentheses that you have written. So in this case, we have 3 open parentheses here for all our if statements. So we should put 3 close parentheses here. Okay, so here we have this as the first student as honors because the average score is 91, which satisfies our third if statement. So it is less than 95, meaning it will go to the last if statement, which is greater than 90, but less than 95, right? Okay. So while this one is 98.3, that immediately satisfies our first condition. That's why we put highest honor. This one is 91.3, so it's not greater than 98. So it will proceed with the next condition, which is it greater than 95? It's still not. And then the next condition would be, is it greater than 90? Yes, it is. So we will put honors. Okay. Same goes with those that are blank here. So all the first 3 if conditions are not satisfied. So we will just write blank. That's how we do nested ifs. In our previous lesson, we have learned how to compute for some statistical metrics like average and sum, right? So we can actually introduce some logical elements to those. For example, we have average if. It's like computing for average, but we are being selective of the data that we will include in our calculation. So the way that we select which data will be included, those are the information that satisfies our if function. So let's try this in Excel. For our first example, we will try to get the average English score of female students. So we need 2 columns here. We need first the gender, which is this column. So if this is F, meaning the student is female, then we will get the English score. We will include this in our computation of average. Okay. Average English score of female student. So we will write average if our range criteria, the condition is this, okay, this is female, and then we write this. If this is true, then, comma, we will get the average of this. So 95.2 is the average English score of our female students. How about let's try to get the average English score of male students? So we will Right. Instead of female, we will just change our criteria to male. So instead of F here, instead of F, we will just change this to M, meaning we are getting the average English score of male students. That will be our criteria. So 87 is our average English score of male students. And we can also do multiple conditions by adding another criteria. Let's see how it works in Excel. Let's say we want to get the average English score of male students who are also a member of the English club. So what we need here would be this column. This should be male, right? And another condition, which is this. This should be yes, meaning the student is also a member of the English club. If those conditions are satisfied, then we will get the average of English score, right? So we will try average of English score if the student is male and also a member of English. So the way we write this is, now for average ifs, the range should come first. This should come first before your criteria. So this is the column that we want to get the average of, then comma, and then the first condition, this should be male, and then this should be yes. So this is how we write average ifs. If in case you have more than two conditions, for example, there's another criteria here, what you would do is you just add another one like comma and then the next condition, right? The next range and then the next criteria and so on. That's how we do average ifs. Okay, now that we know how to compute average with certain conditions, we can also do that in sum and other statistical functions. You may try it on your own. Please feel free to do sum if and sum ifs. The way that we write it is the same as average if and average ifs. You will only compute for the total instead of average.